giving all glory, honor, and praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rekahakadash. Double honor to the elder apostles of Great Millstone who teaches us 100% truth. Shalom and salutations to the hopeful elect, beginning with 144,000 and the rest of the men, women, and children of the hopeful elect. I'm your brother Magan Shalamar. The title of this video is America is Circling the Drain. America is Circling the Drain. And this is an AI video who does a breakdown of the history of when countries that's are at the top of their being an empire, the steps, the phases that it goes through right before the fall or its downfall. It's a certain pattern that they go through, and this AI is showing the same pattern that happened in the past with the Britain, Spain, Amsterdam, all these countries that was once the head a nation of their time, how they all went down. And it's pretty much the same pattern that the United States is showing. So this is a fair use for educational purposes only. This is not for monetary gain. Fair use.
$38 trillion. That's America's national debt. Right now, today, not next year, not projected. Actual debt sitting on the books as of December 2025. And if you think that number doesn't affect you personally, I need you to listen very carefully to what I'm about to tell you. Because while you were scrolling social media and watching Netflix, the largest financial institutions in the world started doing something they haven't done in 75 years. They're moving money, massive amounts of money, out of dollar-denominated assets, quietly, systematically, without headlines. And this isn't conspiracy theory. This is documented capital flow, public filings, treasury data, numbers you can verify yourself. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what's happening, why it's happening, and most importantly, what comes next, because there's a pattern here. A mathematical pattern that's played out 3 times in the last 500 years. Same stages, same warning signs, same devastating outcome. And we're watching it unfold again, right now, in real time. The only question is whether you'll see it coming, or whether you'll be asking, like millions before you, how you missed all the signs. Stick with me. Because the next 15 minutes will change how you think about money forever. Global debt just hit $251 trillion according to the IMF's latest data. That's 235% of global GDP, the highest ratio in recorded peacetime history. U.S. debt alone jumped from $36.1 trillion in January 2025 to $38.4 trillion by December. $2.3 trillion increase in 11 months. But here's what nobody's telling you. This exact scenario has happened before, 3 times in modern history. And every single time, the country holding the reserve currency collapsed within 36 months of the smart money leaving. Not similar collapses, identical patterns. Same stages, same timeline, same result. The pattern is mathematical, predictable, and unfortunately, unstoppable once it reaches a certain point. Let me show you how it works. Every major economic collapse in the last 5 centuries followed a precise 4-stage cycle. Stage 1, the ascension phase. A nation becomes the center of global finance. Capital floods in from everywhere. Their currency becomes the standard for international trade. Everyone wants in. Banks expand. Markets boom. Innovation accelerates. The future looks limitless. Confidence is absolute. The stage typically lasts 50 to 80 years. Stage 2, the overextension phase. Success breeds arrogance. The government starts spending beyond its means. Military expansion, foreign interventions, domestic programs, all funded with borrowed money. Debt grows faster than the economy. But nobody worries because asset prices keep rising. Real estate booms. Stock markets hit records. Everyone feels wealthy. Central banks print money to keep it going. This stage lasts 20 to 40 years. Stage 3, the silent exodus. This is the critical phase. The smart money sees what's coming, not the public, not the politicians, just the people who actually read balance sheets. Major institutions start quietly rotating capital out. No announcements, no press releases, just systematic, calculated movement into safer jurisdictions. Foreign investors reduce holdings. Wealthy families diversify internationally. The exodus begins, slowly at first, then faster. The stage lasts 18 to 36 months. Stage 4, the collapse. The currency loses reserve status. Foreign central banks dump their holdings. Inflation explodes, interest rates spike, asset prices crash simultaneously, banks fail, pensions evaporate, the middle class gets destroyed, Political chaos follows, and everyone asks the same question. How did we not see this coming?
If you can't balance on one foot for 30 seconds,
the pattern was always there. Now let me prove this pattern is real. With 3 historical examples, 3 global superpowers, 3 reserve currencies, same exact cycle, same exact outcome. 1500s. Spain, the most powerful empire on earth. No debate, no competition. Spanish galleons returning from the Americas loaded with more gold and silver than had ever been seen in human history. The Spanish real was the global reserve currency. If you wanted to trade internationally, you needed reals. Madrid was the financial center of the known world. Stage 1, complete. King Philip II controlled half of Europe. Spanish armies were considered unstoppable. The Armada ruled the seas. Wealth poured in from every colony across 3 continents. And what did they do with it? They spent it on everything. Wars with France, wars with England, wars with the Ottoman Empire, wars with the Dutch. A massive military presence spanning 3 continents, a bureaucracy that consumed fortunes, royal palaces that cost kingdoms, and the Spanish Inquisition, burning money along with heretics. By 1550, Spanish government spending was running at 300% of revenue, 3 times what they collected in taxes. The difference? Borrowed. From Italian banks, from German merchants, from anyone who would lend. But gold kept flowing from the New World, so nobody worried. Asset prices in Spain kept rising. Everyone felt rich. The empire seemed invincible. Stage 2, verified. Then, something changed, quietly. 1555. Major Spanish banking families started moving assets to Genoa. The Fugger family, Spain's biggest creditors, began demanding repayment in gold instead of promises. They wanted out. Now, 1556. Wealthy merchants transferred operations to Amsterdam, not all at once, gradually, opening offices, moving inventory, redirecting trade routes. Why? Because they could read financial statements. And the statements said Spain was functionally bankrupt. The Spanish government was paying 40% interest on some loans. 40%? That's not a sign of strength. That's desperation bleeding through official documents. Stage 3, documented. 1557, Spain defaulted on its debts. The first time. Credit markets froze. Spanish bonds became worthless overnight. The government seized private gold shipments to pay soldiers. Chaos spread through the financial system. But the king promised it was temporary. A one-time problem. Everything would be fine. 1560, Spain defaulted again. 1575, again. 1596, again. 1597, again. 4 defaults in 40 years. The currency collapsed. Inflation destroyed the middle class. Spanish power evaporated like morning fog. By 1600, Spain was a shadow of its former self. The golden age was over forever. It never came back. Stage 4, complete. Where did the money go? North to the Dutch Republic. Amsterdam became the new center of global finance. Which brings us to example 2, 1600s. Amsterdam, the richest city in the world by far, by every measure. The Dutch East India Company was worth $8.28 trillion in today's money. More than Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and Google combined, times 2. Dutch banks financed global trade. The Amsterdam Stock Exchange was the first in history. The guilder was the world's reserve currency. International business required guilders, period. Capital flowed into Amsterdam from everywhere. Asia, Africa, the Americas, Europe. Money-seeking returns found its way to Dutch banks. The Dutch Republic in the 1600s with Silicon Valley, Wall Street, and London combined into 1 square mile. Now I know some of you are thinking, where is he getting these numbers? Fair question. Every single figure comes from official sources. Treasury Department, IMF, congressional reports, all verified, all linked in the description. Check them yourself. Stage 1, undeniable. Then came the wars, always the wars. 3 Anglo-Dutch wars between 1652 and 1674. Wars with France, wars with Spain. The Dutch military presence stretched from Indonesia to Brazil to South Africa. And it all cost money. Enormous amounts of money. Government debt increased from 4 million guilders in 1650 to 80 million by 1690, a 20-fold increase in 40 years. To pay for it, they printed. Sound familiar yet? Meanwhile, tulip mania hit. Tulip bulbs selling for more than houses. A single rare bulb could cost 10 times an artisan's annual income. Asset prices completely detached from any economic reality. Everyone was getting rich, on paper. The Bank of Amsterdam, supposedly the safest institution in Europe, was secretly lending out depositor money to fund government wars. They were running fractional reserve banking before it had a name, a Ponzi scheme dressed in legitimacy. Stage 2, check. 1690. The smart money started moving. Major banking families transferred operations to London. The Sephardic Jewish merchants who'd made Amsterdam wealthy began relocating. Portuguese traders opened offices in England. German financiers pulled capital out systematically over years. Why? Because the insiders knew something the public didn't. The Bank of Amsterdam was broke. Had been since 1672. They'd been using new deposits to pay old withdrawals for decades, classic Ponzi mechanics. But the secret was kept until it couldn't be kept anymore. Stage 3, verified, 1795. French revolutionary armies invaded. The Dutch Republic fell. The guilder collapsed. The Bank of Amsterdam's fraud was exposed. Depositors lost everything. Riots in the streets, political chaos. The Dutch Golden Age ended. Just like that. 150 years of dominance. Gone in months. Stage 4, complete. Where did the capital go? London. Britain was next. The cycle continued. Which brings us to example 3. And this one matters because it's the most recent, the closest to our current situation, 1700s to 1900s. The British Empire. The sun never sets on the British flag. You know the line. Everyone knows the line. At its peak, Britain controlled 23% of the world's population, a quarter of Earth's landmass. The pound sterling was the global reserve currency for over 200 years, longer than any currency in modern history. The City of London was the center of global finance. Need capital for anything, anywhere? You went to London. British banks financed railroads in America, mines in Africa, plantations in Asia, infrastructure on every continent. Over 60% of international trade settled in pounds. The gold standard was built around sterling. British power seemed infinite, eternal. Stage 1, absolute. Then came the 20th century and 2 world wars. World War I cost Britain 44 billion pounds. That's over 600 billion in today's money. They borrowed from America, from their own citizens, from anyone who would lend. Government debt went from 30% of GDP to 130%. Remember that number, 130%. The same level America is at today. They tried to stay on the gold standard, failed in 1931, tried again after briefly returning, failed again in 1933. The system was breaking. World War II made everything worse. More debt, more printing, more promises they couldn't keep. Britain ended the war, technically victorious, but financially destroyed. Broke, dependent on American loans to survive. Stage 2, check. 1949. The quiet exodus began. Major British corporations started moving operations to America. Unilever, Shell, British Petroleum, not shutting down in Britain, just shifting investment, redirecting capital, building elsewhere. Wealthy British families transferred assets overseas, to Switzerland, to America, to Canada, to anywhere that wasn't overtaxed, overregulated, declining Britain. The brain drain accelerated. Scientists, engineers, entrepreneurs, academics, all leaving for opportunities in America. Britain offered high taxes and declining prospects. America offered growth and opportunity. The choice was obvious. By 1960, foreign investment in Britain had fallen 62% from pre-war levels. The money was leaving. The talent was leaving. The future was leaving. Stage 3, check. 1967, the pound devalued 14.3% overnight. One day you wake up, your currency is worth 14% less. The government had no choice. They'd run out of foreign currency reserves defending the exchange rate. The game was over. 1976. Britain went to the International Monetary Fund for a bailout. A bailout. The former global superpower, the empire on which the sun never set, had to beg for emergency loans like a developing nation. The humiliation was complete. The pound lost reserve currency status. International trade shifted to dollars. Britain's century of financial dominance ended. Forever. Stage 4. Verified, 3 empires, 3 reserve currencies spanning 500 years, same 4-stage pattern, same outcome. Spain, the Dutch Republic, Britain. All followed the exact same path from dominance to collapse. Now let me show you why America is in stage 3 right now. 1944, Bretton Woods. America becomes the global reserve currency. The dollar is backed by gold at $35 per ounce. Other currencies are backed by dollars. The system is born. America wins World War II. Europe and Asia are in ruins. Capital floods into America. U.S. markets become the deepest and most liquid on Earth. Everyone wants American assets, stocks, bonds, real estate, treasury securities. The Golden Age begins. This lasts from 1945 to 1971. 26 years of absolute dominance. Stage 1, complete. 1971, August 15th. Richard Nixon ends gold convertibility. The dollar becomes pure fiat currency. No gold backing, no commodity backing, just faith in the US government, just trust. And what happens when you remove all limits? Spending explodes. 1980. U.S. national debt is $900 billion. Seems like a big number, but watch what happens next. 1990, 3 trillion. 2000, 5.6 trillion. 2008, 10 trillion. 2020, 27 trillion. January 2025, 36.1 trillion. December 2025, $38.4 trillion. That's a 4,200% increase in 45 years. The debt more than doubled in just 5 years. But that's only government debt. That's just part of the picture. Corporate debt hit 13.5 trillion, household debt 18 trillion, student loans 1.77 trillion, credit card debt 1.1 trillion, auto loans 1.6 trillion, medical debt hundreds of billions, total US debt over $100 trillion. That's 370% of GDP. For context, Spain defaulted at 200% debt to GDP. The Dutch Republic collapsed at 250%. Britain lost reserve status at 130%. America is at 370% and climbing. How do we pay the interest? The government now pays over $1 trillion per year just on interest payments. More than defense spending, more than Medicare, more than most entire government agencies combined. $1 trillion, just interest. Not paying down debt, just interest. And how do we fund that? We print money. M2 money supply increased from 15.5 trillion in February 2020 to 21 trillion by April 2022. 40% in.
So yeah, as you can see, America is following in the footsteps of the other countries that went bankrupt and fell. And this is prophecy, that great millstone through the power of the spirit of Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shah, Bashem Krakadash, that the America is falling. You know, America is soon falling. It's not no 100 years. You know, we waiting about 100 years later, or you know, it's not gonna happen until the next 30 or 40 years. We meaning soon, like soon in the next few years, if not this year. That's why we say we pray that this year be the year of the coming of the Lord, 2026. That's how we wanted this shit to be over here in America. You know, get this shit started where, you know, they bring out the MOTB, which is the micro C-hip, you know, that gonna come upon the whole entire world, and just World War III kicks off, and China and Russia and all of their allies starts throwing these ICBM missiles here in America, and Yahweh Shah returns and take over this kingdom and establish his own, man. And he come destroy America, and also that land over there where the small hats call their home is going to be destroyed. You know, the land over there in Israel is going to be destroyed, but it's going to be built back up. So we can't wait till this devil fall, the so-called white man, Esau, Edom, his kingdomship, the kingdom can fall. We seeing it playing out. You know, it's showing you the timeline of how long these countries empire lasts. And we know this year, 2026, marks 250 years of America being an empire. And so this is, I don't believe any empire has been established longer than 250 years. So we pray that this is the year that America fall, that America burn, you know, from the Third World War and the ICBM missiles and the holy angels and Yahweh Shai, when he would crack that sky open in the chariots, beaming out them laser beams, destroying this place. This is Numbers chapter 24, verse 17. I shall see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but not nigh. There shall come a star out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel, and shall smite the corners of Moab, and destroy all the children of Sheph. Sheph is talking about the bottom people, which is Esau, Edom. And that person, that he said, I shall see him, is talking about Yahweh Shai, who is going to come and destroy this place in the Third World War. When it returns, he's going to come and bring destruction. Okay, he's coming in the middle of the war, and he's going to destroy the four corners of the earth. He's going to bring fire upon this earth, man. You know, not all the earth is going to be destroyed, but America is going to be totally destroyed. Israel is going to be totally destroyed, but Israel is going to be built back up. But the thing about it, Yahweh Shah, his kingdom is going to be set up, and it's going to be taken away from these children of Sheph, these damn bottom people, these base people, which is no other than Esau, Edom, the basis of all nations on this earth. And Edom shall be a possession Seir also shall be a possession for his enemies, and Israel shall do valiantly. And that's what's going to happen. We're gonna rule over. We're gonna beat these motherfuckers to the pulp. You know, with that rod of correction, man. When they go in subjection, when they become subjection, become slaves, be in our captivity under Yahweh Shai. We're gonna rule over all these heathen nations. And it said, verse 20 said, when he looked on Amalek, he took up his parable and said, Amalek was the first of the nations, but his latter end shall be that he perishes forever. So this fucking devil, man, these small hats, the Amalek is the chief tribe of Edom, Esau. They're going to the Lord, you know, all of Esau is going to perish. Amalek is going to get it, man. These small hats going to be the first that go into slavery. The very first that goes into slavery, man. They're the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the DuPonts, the Murdochs, you know, on this earth, the central banking head kahunas, you know, the elites, you know, they're the Illuminatis. They're the ones who pushing this war. They're the one who is causing what we just saw on that video. They're the ones who behind causing the downfall of each country, and they move their money. They start wars and they make money off of wars. This is what they do. He didn't emphasize how the small hats, these same central banking, are the ones that's creating all the chaos on this earth. That's why the Lord says, Amalek, taking a parable. Your ass is grass. All of Esau. But Amalek, your ass is grass. You're going the first one going into slavery when Yahweh Shai returns. This is Daniel chapter 4, verse 17. It says, this matter is by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High Yahweh ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the bases of men. And see that? He giveth this kingdom to whoever he will. And he set it up over the bases of men, which is Esau, Edom. You see that? And that's who's ruling right now. The bases of men. The most dumbest motherfuckers on this earth. You see how Spain, you saw how Amsterdam, you saw how Britain all fell in that same categorized. What happens? You know, in each stage, same shit happens. And these dumb motherfuckers still can't get it right. You saw what history does, and you so fucking dumb, you still can't get it right. Like, that's how, when the Lord said the basis of men, these motherfuckers are the dumbest of all the damn heathen nations on this earth. The so-called white man is the basis of all of them. And the Lord just shows you how he set it up. He gives the kingdom to whoever he will. Because he's Yahweh, he's the omnipotent. He can do whatever the fuck he want to do. This is 2 Ezra chapter 6, verse 9. It says, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So when this kingdom goes down, when Esau's kingdom fall, man, we got next. Jacob got next. So they can be in line with China and Russia and Japan, all of those other nations thinking they got next and set up their dollar. But guess what? Jacob has next. And it's going to be our kingdom forever and ever, ruling under the Yahweh Shai Mashiach. So that's the bottom line of it. Can't wait till this motherfucker go down, because you know what? We got next. This is Job 5 and 12. It says, he disappointed the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. Because we know on the back of the dollar bill, it says that in Latin that he favors our enterprise. He has our enterprise in his best interest. And that's some other words is that. And then in Norse, the next step, Novus Seclorium, says that a new world order. So, but we know this is what the Lord's order is. This right here. This is Job chapter 5, verse 12. It says, he disappointed the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. So just when they're about to eat and be satisfied, guess what? The Lord is going to bring them down, man. It's going to crash on them. He's going to be disappointed. He's going to be, that's going to be the it for his reigning. Soon as he think he's got it made, he's gonna have that micro C hip just kicking in and thinking that he's the God on this earth. Guess what? That's when the Lord is gonna bring it down on him. That's when his whole kingdom is gonna crash. So with that, I'm saying, call halal Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shah by Shem Akar Hakadash. I hope you're edified. Again, double honors to the elder apostles, great millstone. Shalom.